Hello, everybody. Brad Hussey here from freelancingfreedom.com. Let's turn on some lights. Too much. That'll do. Okie dokie. It's Thursday. Hot seat. Office hours live. For anyone who's watching, most of us here are students of freelancingfreedom.com. Office Hours Live is something that we do each Thursday at 4 p.m. Mountain Time, 3 p.m. Pacific, or 6 Eastern, all the same time. And we answer the latest questions of the students in the group. And after that, for anyone who's watching publicly, because this is streaming on YouTube and then people watch the replay, I can address questions for non-students as well. And so this acts as a way for me to continually help the students of Freelancing Freedom answer the questions, help guide you and give you kind of some insight, advice, direction, and also to use this as a tool to show what's going on within Freelancing Freedom for the people who are not a part of it and are considering it. So I want to make sure that this is working. So anyone in the chat there, if you could let me know if you could see and hear me, if everything is good, then we will get started. You could let me know. Seems like I could see my preview, so I think we're okay. Lori says, I hear you. Babar says, hello, we see and hear you, says Alea. Good. Awesome. Thank you for letting me know. Okay. Let's address a couple things and jump in. I'm going to be primarily answering the questions that are submitted at the link in the description of this live stream. It's a type form. I just posted it in the comments section. If you can click on that, submit your question. Any question could be about freelancing, entrepreneurship, business, starting a business, growing your business, improving your lifestyle, getting yourself back on track, finding ideas, questions about me, questions about the course, questions about what's to come in the year. I'm an open book. I'm happy to answer questions of all shapes and sizes. I won't discriminate. This isn't just answer your web design questions platform. It's much more than that. So I am going to open up the tab here with the office hours questions. Looks like we may have a few queued up already, which is nice. Hopefully they're not the ones from last week and they're new. Looks like we have, unfortunately, not many new questions, which I'm not that pumped about. I'd like to see some new questions. I see a couple questions here. Only one is totally new, which in fact happens to be our all-star, Aaron. So thank you, Aaron, for being consistent with your questions. You always provide great questions, and I think it helps people. Yes, Aaron. So your question is the one question that's submitted so far. People typically wait till last minute and they submit questions as it happens. But the way it works is you have to keep reminding people to do what it is that they want to do so that we can make this worth everyone's time. So I have Aaron's question here. You're welcome to be asking questions in the chat as well. And if we don't get any questions, we will either end early or I will provide some alternative content for the live stream. So, okay. Let's jump into the question here. And anyone who has inspiration to ask any questions, you can submit them anonymously if you don't want your name to be associated. So here's Aaron's question, who is a student of Freelancing Freedom. And he asks, now that I'm doing more and more client work and getting my name out there as a go-to source for my service, I have a question about the work section of my website. As of right now, my work samples are split 50-50 between work I've done for clients and work I've done while being a WT employee for a firm or in-house company. What is best practice here? Should I ditch the agency in-house work and only showcase client work that I did on my own? Or is it common for freelancers like myself to have that kind of variety of work? By the way, right now I still have a full-time in-house gig, if that makes any difference. Okay. I think eventually, Aaron, and anyone who has a similar question, you will probably start to get away from the agency, just the highlight of agency work, unless you are targeting agencies to help agencies, in which case your agency experience could possibly be the most relevant, depending on what the work is and what was required of you. If you're just highlighting employee work, you need to consider if that's even valuable for someone who's not hiring you as an employee. Are you trying to get more employee work, or are you trying to find customers with a common problem that you can solve with your services? So, like I said, because I know your type of work, Aaron has a wide variety of clients and doesn't have a specific category of he doesn't serve one particular type of business, category of business. It does fall under an umbrella. So there is a category, but it's not so much he only helps dentists, or he only helps, startups. It's kind of, there's a variety in the types of businesses he helps, but it's an industry. There you go. Aaron says industry specific, kind of niche there. So to go back to your question here, it's 50-50 between client work and work that you've done as the employee. If the employee, not industry specific. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So it's not industry specific, meaning it's not in the law industry or the health and wellness industry. It could be all of the above. And his category is above that, versus, very, very hyper specific. He only helps, one industry with one problem. It's kind of an umbrella type of service that helps with branding. The problem he's solving is people who are looking to level up, or as in Aaron's words, grow up. And take the startup and the company to understand their brand identity and to help them kind of level up, grow up to kind of be a big boy, big girl sort of company when it comes to branding and identity. And so that's kind of the commonality, regardless of the industry. And some people probably watching this might even relate and go, yeah, I've heard this advice to niche down, but I don't have a particular niche. I actually kind of like the variety. That said, the type of problem I'm solving is kind of the same thing. It's just for a variety of people. And that's okay. You might over time find that you prefer a type of industry, or find something will be revealed to you that, within a specific industry, you might actually want to go a specific route. But if it's working right now, explore it and see what comes of it. Now back to Aaron's question. Should I ditch that agency in-house work and showcase only client work? Or should I have the mix? Think about the purpose of why you're showing it. So with every item you show, think about who's looking at your portfolio, who you might send to your portfolio, and what they might think. Who is that portfolio piece helping? Who is it convincing? Are you wanting to attract more clients or agencies? What is that projecting? When you post something on your website and showcase a piece of work, a lot of web designers and freelancers like to think that more is better. The more they can add, the better. Because it shows that, they get lots of work and there's a variety, and look how good my design skills are, or look how good my, connections are, or whatever. But really you're just kind of stroking your own insecurity and trying to convince yourself that, oh yeah, I am good enough to do this. And see, I have lots of things. And the more that's there, the more people will realize, the more that people won't think that I'm a fraud, that I believe I am. And that goes down to a deeper problem, which I can address afterwards and talk about in a little bit. You could have one piece and showcase one piece on your website, and that's enough. It could be enough, or it could be insufficient. But you need to know, when you post something, whether it's a blog post, a testimonial, or showcasing a piece of work, a case study. What is it doing? What's its purpose? What is its call to action? Because that's what it is. It's not for you to say, look how many projects I have. Yay me. I have so many things. It's for somebody to see it and go, I identify with that business, or I have a similar business, or I have a similar problem, or I can see how Aaron is solving that problem or help that person or that company, and I can apply that to my company, and I want that too. Versus someone who wants Aaron to help them, and then they see he does agency work as an employee, and then maybe he did this, or you want to know what is the reaction, the perception, the action that comes from that piece that you're putting out there. Aaron says, I heard that if you're promoting yourself as a business, you're not allowed to show work that you've done while being employed by another company because they were not a client. David says, I believe it's up to your contract. Yeah, so I can't speak to that as on a macro level, meaning, there's hard and fast rules. I know freelance web designers who've, showed work that they've done in an agency, just to highlight their talent. And as long as that's okay and it's not against your contract, your employer says it's cool, okay, that's fine. But that's the case by case. Look at your employment contract. Some employment contracts say you're not allowed to freelance at all, to do your own thing, which I think is a problem. And that gets you into a situation that is in direct conflict with your aspirations to take care of yourself. And I don't like that. So know your contracts is maybe where I'm getting with that. So Aaron, I mean, it's kind of a loaded kind of question and answer. There's lots of directions to go with that, but I think as a rule, hi Aaron, I don't work places like that unless I'm making bank. There you go. So in summary, my answer to that is what you showcase on your website, your portfolio, your sales page should be the most relevant showcase or piece that gets the person looking at your site, who is ideally your target customer, to take the action that you desire for them and the action that they need towards solving their problem, versus trying to impress them with your pretty designs or how many clients you've had. Because you could show me that you've had 1,000 clients, and I don't care if you've had 1,000 clients or if you've had one client. What I care about is if you're the right choice for me, if I'm in the right place. So there's my answer, Aaron. I hope that helps for anyone who has that question. Let's see. Okay, oh wow, you guys are awesome. I said nobody's asking questions, and then as soon as they say ask a question, a whole bunch of people ask questions. So here we go. We got a few more. This is great. Okay. Oh, these are good questions. Okay. Jason had a good question, but I will come back to it because it's more appropriate for maybe a question afterwards. But I see your question there. Okay, let's see. We have Mike. Mike is a student at Freelancing Freedom, and his question is, I'm developing a niche site that helps bloggers get started with narrating their blog posts to make an audio option available. The content centers on tools, tips, and tutorials for their blog, design features, user friendliness, audio recording, production, sound quality, streaming, promoting, and so on. In short, everything surrounding hosting a narrated blog. It's called podcastingblogger.com. For 2 years, I have run a long-form blog, mikewriting.com, where I tell stories about people and their quirks. Content is very general. I narrate these weekly blog posts MikeWriting.com is the case study in the content I'm writing for Podcasting Blogger. My problem is deciding which website theme needs my attention first. My blog, MikeWriting.com, is in need of implementing many of the changes and updates that I propose for my Podcasting Blogger content. It would be easier to overall. I think maybe the word I'm getting from that is totally overhaul the site versus modifying the free WordPress theme. So it would be easier to overhaul the site versus modifying the WordPress theme. I am the web developer. Should I build the theme for podcastingblogger.com and launch my content? Or should I build the theme for MikeWriting.com as the see how I use these tips on my own narrated blog source for launch Podcasting Blogger content? This is Mike. MikeWriting.com, and he's referring to his website, podcastingblogger.com. Okay, Mike. So, in summary, you have two sites. You have podcastingblogger.com and MikeWriting.com. Podcastingblogger.com is your niche site that will help bloggers narrate their blog posts. So they write a blog post, but they also make an audio version. So an audio podcast style, some people can consider it a podcast. Some people could just consider it a verbalized version of the writing, an alternative way to consume the content. So he's building that site, and it centers on the tools, tips, tutorials for the blog design, features, user friendliness, audio recording, audio production, sound quality, streaming, promoting, and so on. Everything surrounding hosting a narrated blog. Okay. And then for 2 years, he's run his own blog, Mike Writing, tells the stories, writes content, general content about people and their quirks, and then he narrates them, and he wants to use that as a case study on Podcasting Blogger. Okay. The problem, now that we know what the two sites are, the current situation, the problem is which site needs your attention? Which site design needs your attention? Mike Writing is in need of lots of changes and tweaks and updates. And you're wanting to know is just what's the right choice? Should I build the theme for Podcasting Blogger and launch the content, or should I focus on Mike Writing? Who first? Okay. Take a couple steps back. How much of both of these? Okay. What do you see doing most? What do you see yourself in 2 years? Mike, and anyone who has a similar question, maybe. In 2 years, the ideal situation is panning out for you. Where do you see your attention, your passion, your purpose? Where does that lie? What excites you? What would get you excited about waking up? Is it both of these, one of these, none of these, something totally different? What is it that makes you go, this matters? And then as an extension of that, this helps people. This makes money. This solves a problem. This is exciting. This is in line with my vision for my future. So take a couple steps back, like get your head out of the trees and take 3, 4, 5 steps back. Because right now you're asking questions of what to prioritize. How do I, be productive? What's the right choice? What should I focus on? Should I redo the design? Should I tweak the design? Should I tweak the theme? Should I get a new theme? Should I build a theme for this site or for that site? Okay. Mike says, I see Podcasting Blogger being a significant source of instruction. Okay. So can you expand on that, Mike? What do you mean by that? Do you like it? It's going to be, you see it being a source of instruction. I love the teaching and being technical and straight nerding out. So Okay. Um, is the site launched yet? Is anybody on it? Has it helped somebody? Has it been validated in some way? What is it that kind of, where are you at with it? It's kind of hard asking questions because we've got a little bit of a delay. I want to hook a lot of bloggers I follow on medium.com. For example, I want them to start narrating. And you're the expert on this topic, but I'd be curious the value of narrating your blog posts. Why would somebody do it? Who should do it? And why should they do it? Pro blogger is bare, if only a landing page. Sorry, podcasting blogger in short form is bare. I only have a landing page to catch emails with ConvertKit. Okay. What I would wonder, Mike, before you, and you can feel free to answer questions and add some more information as we go, but I want to try and provide some action and maybe some thoughts. Before you jump really far into anything, what I would think you might do is truly validate your idea. I'm not saying it's a bad idea. I actually think it's a great idea. Because I, as a blogger myself and as a content creator myself, I've narrated some of my blog posts, and it provides people a total, instead of just sitting there looking at their phone, reading 1,000 words, they can just listen to your voice, or look at your face in video, for example. So I understand. But what I would maybe be curious is if you, instead of saying, okay, let's full on design and develop and go hard into fleshing this whole thing out, you're going to busy yourself, and you're going to take on a gigantic task of building a site, branding it, doing all this stuff, making it look good, dedicating a bunch of time and man hours into developing and designing and all that sort of stuff, when that's not the point. The point is what you are trying to do, who you're doing it for, why it matters, and starting there. And that could be as simple as writing one piece and practicing what you preach and narrating that piece, providing a download to, give that person actionable steps, maybe create with ConvertKit, because you have a ConvertKit account, a free sequence of emails, a free course, a free email course on educating them why it matters, how it's helped you, the benefits, how to make it easy, some tricks that you've learned along the way, and give like this really high quality educational resource with one nice landing page. Create one nice landing page for podcastingblogger.com and explain why it matters, who it's for. Go hard on who it's for. Don't be generic and general. It is for bloggers, but maybe you want to explain. Maybe it's a type of blogger, because here's the thought. There's the blogger who's doing it for a hobby. And then there is a blogger who makes money. So for example, and the reason why that matters is the hobby blogger won't pay you a cent. They might go, Mike, you're so great and so nice, and you should create content that helps them eventually become a pro blogger so that they can, take it to the next level. But they're not going to pay for anything, because why would they? They don't have any real problem. They just are using an extra tactic that's just going to give them more things to do. But somebody like me, or somebody, in like a weight class above, like Pat Flynn, or, somebody maybe in between that, who's making income from their online presence and from blogging and from content marketing, that's an actual marketing strategy, a marketing channel for their business, then that's where your content starts to matter and actually solve a real problem versus giving somebody another thing to do. You want to avoid just adding noise and something to do because it sounds nice. You actually want to solve a problem. And I think what you're doing, and you're convinced, and I know the benefits of narrating your blog posts and your content. It reaches you to a wider audience. It makes it easier to consume. There's the benefit of podcasting is on the rise and listening to audio. You can read a blog post and save your eyes. By not reading it in text format. Maybe someone's dyslexic and has a problem reading and it's difficult and they don't want to be on their phone all the time because you're on it too much anyway. But listening to something is a much more sophisticated way of consuming content. I only listen to audiobooks. I like the idea of reading books, but I can read one book in like 3 months. I can listen to 3, 4, 5 books in a single month. I've just finished a couple books and I have 2 or 3 books on the go right now, and I'm crushing them because I get to listen to them. So I know the value of the narrating and audio and content in audio form. So for you, keep it simple. Focus on the 20. We all know the 80-20 Pareto principle. Strip away everything that doesn't matter. Create a chart. Write down all, what it is that you want to do, and then what you think needs to be included, and then go what actually matters, and then what's the rest of it? What's the 20% that's going to actually get you 80% of the way? And if you're dividing your time between 2 websites and also probably a job or freelancing on top of that, then you're not going to get any progress anywhere, and you're just going to, burn yourself out and think that your idea was stupid. When you could focus on something, keep it really simple, and deliver the minimum viable version of that product, of that solution, of your idea to the minimum viable audience. So find a very specific type of person you want to affect, find out who they are, and it needs to be someone you care about, because if you're just like serving people who don't actually excite you to get out of the bed in the morning to serve them, then why are you even doing it? What are you doing with your time and your life? Someone you care about, someone you want to see, get an email from, a message from, and go, wow, like that was really helpful for me, and this is why it's been beneficial, and that warms your heart. That's the type of person you want to serve, whatever business you're doing. And so you want to deliver the minimum viable product to the minimum viable audience. So 20-80, and keep it really simple. One landing page. It can be really nice and simple, and there's one call to action, and you deliver one thing. And then what that does is it eliminates a bunch of time spent trying to convince yourself that it's a good idea, and just find out if it actually is a good idea. And maybe you need to tweak something. Maybe you realize that, with your efforts, nobody's really taking action on it. You get traffic, but no one's downloading the thing or, enrolling in the free course. No one seems to be affected by it in a positive way, or if at all. So maybe instead of just saying, scrap the whole idea, it's stupid, reposition it. Maybe your audience is wrong. This is why you want to do a minimum viable product to a minimum viable audience. Because if you go all in with a product and then all in with an audience and then you're wrong, a lot of people tend to go, I wasted all that time. I'm so wrong. What a failure. Keep it simple with a simple audience. It's very defined. And then you can go, hey, here's what I have. I want to help you with this. Is this work for you? Is this what you need? And then let the numbers speak for themselves. Let the downloads, let the purchases, let the enrollments, let the signups, the conversion rate speak for themselves. And then reposition and tweak instead of just totally pivoting and scrapping it all. So keep it simple. A landing page. Maybe you have 3 landing pages and you test, with your traffic sources, in whichever ways you get them, a specific audience or specific message. Now, don't go too crazy with testing, because if you're only getting a few hundred visitors a month, the data is not going to be able to reliably tell you which direction to go. It's better to just keep it simple and go with that, and then tweak as you go along and validate the data. So Mike says the value of this is giving readers a way to read your content while being on the move. I want to avoid being swamped. So there you go. There's the reason why you would go 80-20, keep it simple. You said, oh, wow, I can make my pitch an email hook. Exactly. Instead of pitching something right on, like most people aren't going to be convinced of whatever you're selling upon first glance right there in the first page. You're not going to get any purchases that way. No one is convinced of your thing yet, or you haven't illuminated the problem enough. And if there is a problem, and there should be a problem that you're solving, then you could say, here's a way that I can help you in a really low risk way. An email. First, the free blog post. And they go, oh man, that was good. Sure. Okay. Yeah, I'll download that thing and see if I can implement that thing in a really simple way. If it's just to cost me an email, perfect. And then you can, from there, illuminate the problem. There's a formula, is to present the problem, agitate it, and solve it. PAS. What's the problem? Agitate the problem, solve the problem, present the solution. And so you can take them through a journey and show them this is what it is that you're struggling with. And it should be something they're struggling with. Otherwise, it's not the right audience or the right problem. Agitate it. Show why that's holding you back. And then the solution. And that could be it could be a free product. It could be a cheap product. It could be a service. It could be, whatever. And then Mike, as a joke, says, I need to convince them of the problem. It's not so much convince them of the problem because, you don't want to create a problem for somebody and then solve that problem that you've created for them. That's just unethical. And I know you're joking. But what you need to do is illuminate the problem. So for me, what I want to do is I see a problem in the world that I don't like. And it is a problem. And there are people who experience it. I want to put it front and center and go, I don't like this. I don't think this works. I don't think this is right. And it's my mission to solve that problem for you because I don't like seeing you struggle that way. And I care about affecting you. Here's why that problem really matters. And here's why you need to stop ignoring it. And here's how I can solve it for you. Yes, this is a business, but the reason why I'm in this business is because I see a problem that I don't like and it needs to go away. Think about that. And Mike confirms minimum viable product for minimum viable market. Definitely makes sense. Mike, read the book. This is Marketing. In fact, listen to the audiobook, This is Marketing by Seth Godin. Seth Godin is like a huge inspiration to me. I actually got to see him speak and I read many of his books and he's amazing. And he provides sage advice that is elevated beyond tactics and strategies that goes, you need conversion rates, you need email marketing, or you need Facebook ads, or you need this. Of course, the person who is selling a Facebook ads product is going to tell you that your problem is Facebook ads. And maybe part of it is, or whatever it is, but he steps above and beyond that and gives you this kind of this bird's eye view of, the psychology of marketing, what it is that you're really trying to do, so you can really step back. So This is Marketing. Mike says, This is Marketing is sitting at the post office waiting for me to pick up. I am not effing kidding. There you go. It was meant to be. There's your sign. Two things to validate. I mentioned to you that you need to read that book and it's sitting there waiting for you. You're clearly on the right path. So my advice, Mike, is keep it simple. Take a few steps back. Encourage you to listen to that or read that book. Validate your idea, whatever your idea is. I'm hesitant to tell you that you should be jumping in and even having a hand in coding your site. Because I'm trying to teach you to be a business owner. I'm trying to teach you to be an entrepreneur. And while entrepreneurs do get their hands dirty in their business, and they should, especially at the beginning, that's not the most effective use of your time. You're trying to solve problems. You're trying to create a solution. You're trying to make impact. You're trying to make change. You're not trying to debug a website. Okay? Cool. I hope that was helpful. That was a really fun question, actually. I really enjoyed answering that. Cool. Okay. Oh, I love it. You guys are asking questions now. It's like you always start out and there's no questions, and I'm always like a little bit like, oh, come on, guys. Ask your questions. And then you ask your questions as we start. And there's so many. Love it. You're welcome, Mike. I'm glad that helped. Okay. Okay. Question from Alea. This is cool. Some of us, sometimes I forget that Alea is actually a student of the course, Freelancing Freedom. She joined as a student years ago and participated as a student. And, in the journey of that, partway through or 3/4 of the way through, became a very important member of the team. So it's cool to get a question from you as a student. Okay, here it is. Hey, Brad, it's me. I never really asked your opinion on this, but I actually would really like to know. My last question, which I see there was a last question there, so I don't know if this is the right one to ask first, but I'm going to keep going unless you tell me to stop. My last question was about when someone should productize a service. Your answer made me look at my current business and admit I am not as ready to productize things as I thought I was. This year, I'm not actively seeking new clients. If a client comes about, great. I would like to instead spend 2019 really developing my professional identity, brand, and developing content that showcases what it is that I actually do. Do you think this is a good idea? Is a year too long of a time to not seek new clients? Okay, good question. I'm going to come to it. I'm going to look at your other question. I'm going to read your other question as well to know where I should start. So the first question that she asked, that she referenced to, was, I'm thinking of developing new and monetizing existing niche communities. I already contribute lots of time and resources for free, but now I'm thinking of charging a small fee of no more than $9.99 a month. So a membership site. For example, I have a group where I offer free Elementor sections and themes for WordPress websites monthly. These are being used for personal and commercial projects. Do you think monetizing an already thriving community is a good idea? Okay. Can I start there? Aaron says it's the sadness in your voice that motivates us to ask. You're referring to. I did that on purpose. I don't like coming here and having no questions. It makes me sad. Because I know that you guys have questions. And when you don't ask the questions, they don't get answered. Okay, so Alea. Where should I start, Alea? What question should I start with first? Which one do you think is more important to start with? I know asking that means I have to wait 20 seconds for an answer. So I might just run with this. The community. Okay. All right. That one is instant. Cool. Yeah, you're right. Do you think monetizing an already thriving community is a good idea? Yes, is my short answer to that. It does come with some kind of rules and exceptions. It's not as easy as just changing it. You provide valuable guidance and advice, and you clearly are able to develop and facilitate really valuable community and community engagement. That's worth something. Now, by charging, what's going to happen is there are going to be some people who are not happy about that. Of course. If they get something for free or, and then now you're asking to charge for it, there are going to be inevitably some people who are not happy about that. But your job is to understand, what are you trying to achieve with this community? How much of your, are you able to sustain what it is that you're already doing in this growing community, providing free advice and just really delivering free value? How much of that can you keep doing? Is it really worth your time? Is it truly serving the people in that group who really need it? So there's probably only 20% of those people who are truly affected by your community, your involvement, your engagement, and your facilitation of that community. So you're going to get people in there who are not happy, but it's possible, and maybe even likely that the people who are upset and not a fan of your choice to charge, that they weren't getting the value. They were just looking for free tips, for, a free ride, a free lunch. But the people who truly value and who you've helped, those people will pay for it because they know the value of it. $9.99 a month is not asking a lot. It's very reasonable. I actually know of a community. You know her, and probably many of you even know her. A friend of mine, Erin Flynn from Unstoppable Basecamp. She has a community for web designers, teaching kind of the business tactics and strategies for web designers. And it was a free community, and it was doing really well. And she ultimately began charging for her community and said, moving forward, this is no longer a free community. It's a membership fee, but it gets you this extra. I do have this other thing that I can, of course, you can get free advice and guidance and tips and my emails and my blogs. But moving forward, for me to make this community what I envision it to be, I have to charge for it. I know that some of you are not going to be happy about that, but I need to stick to my vision. And in order for that to happen, I need to charge for this community so that I can truly go all in. So for you, I think monetizing an already thriving community is a good idea, because if you had no community, drumming up an idea for a community and charging for it means you're going to have to go through a validation process. There's no community without anyone in it. You already have a thriving community. What is it now that you can do to take it to the next level? And possibly for you, it means charging for it. So that was my answer for that one, Alea. I hope that was a good answer for you. And to the second part of your question. So you said, my last question was about when someone should productize a service. Your answer made me look at my current business and admit I'm not ready to productize things like I thought I was. I'm not actively seeking new clients. If they come around, great. And I would instead like to spend the year developing my professional identity brand, developing content that showcases what it is that I do. Do you think it's a good idea, or is a year too long not to seek new clients? I think that you should take as long as it takes to satisfy what you're seeking. So I, last year, 2018, actively did the same thing, decided not to seek new clients and to say no to most projects. In fact, I only took on 2 projects. And that meant that I took a huge cut in total revenue. Maybe not a huge cut. If you read my annual review, you saw that I earned 25% less revenue. When I looked at it, most of that was because it didn't take on client work. And so there was a cut there. There was a revenue stream that I essentially eliminated from my total business revenue, which was mostly due to no client work. So you're going to sacrifice on something. Taking on no clients means that you're probably going to make less revenue. At least you're going to make no revenue from client work, or minimal if you only take on a couple of clients. That said, you have to weigh that. That's the cost of you focusing all of that time on something that should pay off in the long run or the short term. So if that cost is worth it for you, then that's your investment. That's your investment into that thing. Now, obviously, that's a very serious thing to consider. For me, it made the most sense because the amount of time that I dedicated to active one-on-one client work, getting them, nurturing them, securing them, email, rounding up my team and managing the team and managing projects, and only maybe like 10% of those projects I was really pumped about. I realized that if I spent that time dedicated to freelancing freedom, at the time, Code College, blogging, developing my personal brand, then that would pay off. Maybe not instantly, but maybe the next year, which for me, this is 2019. So last year I stopped doing client work actively. And I was able to really focus a lot of time on the productized version of my business. And the idea is that that will pay off. And I already think it has paid off in my satisfaction of the way I use my time, but I think also monetarily it will pay off as well. So for you, you need to focus your time on what is going to align with your vision. And you're going to have to make sacrifices along the way. And if it takes you 1 year of focusing on developing your professional identity, your brand, developing content, improving what it is that you already have. Granted, you should have other income that can support that. You're probably in a position where you can say, I can afford to do this. It's clearly an investment in time and money, and there's a sacrifice being made here, but it's going to be worthwhile versus, ooh, this sounds like a fun little idea. Maybe I should just do that. You got to take it seriously as you would. And Alea says here, I'm thinking of, if I monetize my communities, new client work won't be needed and I can really focus on developing me. Okay. That's the key. And that's where tying in that other question is good. I will address your answer about, productizing, or your question about productizing and stuff here. But, what you're doing there is trying to create a way to replace that income or at least fund your journey here. And that's important. And you're in a position to be able to do that. And I think that is, I think that's a good idea. I think that is a move that you should strongly consider because the benefits could far outweigh the risks. And that's your job to try and, balance that out and measure it. But you've already kind of been one step ahead here where you're like thinking, if I monetize my community, which is already thriving, if I can get some members in there, then I can have this help kind of soften that blow and use that to fund my developing my professional identity brand and content to show that ultimately maybe 2020, maybe in the end of 2019, latter 2019, that your business, you could take that to improve your business. So you're doing this to invest in your business so that you can improve. So I think that's a good idea. I think that you have my green light on monetizing your community. As you know, you should approach it correctly with strategy. And I have faith that you would do that based on what I know about working with you. And productizing your service and getting new clients and stuff right now. If you're not ready for it, don't jump into it. Wait until you got wait till you're in the right position for it. And if you don't feel like you're personally, professionally ready and you don't have what it is that you need, then maybe you're not ready to jump into that next step. So the point is not to skip the line and not to jump in prematurely into something you're not ready for, which is why I preach a lot in Freelancing Freedom here as we move forward in 2019, starting with service and starting simple, starting small, working on yourself, starting in here, starting internally and working outward, versus giving you a bunch of tools and tactics and tricks and fancy words and then trying to convince you that you're not productizing enough, so you should buy my course on productizing. I'd like to get you there. Aaron says, personal branding is an ongoing exercise in my experience. And so I treat myself as a client and juggle myself in with my ongoing projects. Cool. Yeah. And Aaron is the branding expert. So I hope that gives you a little bit of insight, Alea. And of course, you're free to ask me outside of this as well. Okay. Good questions, everybody. This is nice. Let me see. A couple more questions here. I'm going to refresh. Okay. There was a question here. I want to address Aaron here. Aaron says, I totally know how you feel. I feel like I just now broke through the barrier of knowing exactly who I target. So now I have a better understanding of how to brand myself. Exactly. If you don't know who you're serving and who you're targeting and who you're helping, if you don't know what you're doing, then all you're going to do is slap on a bunch of tactics and tools and trends and advice that you're just going to confuse yourself. Because if you don't know who you're serving, then you're really not going to serve anybody. You're just accidentally walking through it all and trying to build a business, hoping that you can have a fancy enough website, a fast enough WordPress theme or any of the things. You're just going to look for quick fixes because you have no long-term vision. And so this is something that I'm really excited about within the new Freelancing Freedom 2.0, the first course that we're going to be launching, that I've been fully headfirst into developing, is starting with yourself. And I call it discovering your, what is it called? I have it pulled up here. Discovering your potential. So, and I'll give you a little sneak peek after, perhaps, if we have some time. Aaron says, decorating, not designing. There you go. That's cool. Okay. So that was, you need to know who it is, what do you stand for? Who it is, what are you doing this for? Because then it's easier to communicate to that person. It's easier to present yourself to that person. It's easier to know where to go because you have a long-term vision. Instead of just saying, okay, I'm a web designer and I got a web design stuff and who wants a client and how do I get jobs and what's the trick that will get me clients and what's that tactic that'll make me win. Maybe you might get a trick or a tool or a tactic that'll give you a quick win, but are you getting the right system? And are you developing something that's actually going to sustain yourself and build a business that can serve you, your community, and your family 5, 10, 15, 20 years from now? That's what I care about, especially now, moving forward. That's truly what I care about. Getting you long-term purpose and meaning in what you do in your business and in your life. Long-term, not just quick fixes and fancy words to try and make myself a quick buck. I know how to do that. And maybe in some cases I've done that. In some cases you have to do that. Quickly fund something so that you can develop something that matters. But I have bigger ideas for the people I want to serve. Alea says, oh, we're talking about Elementor there. I'm going to stay out of the coding conversation for now. Okay, Jason has a question I want to address. Currently not a student of freelancingfreedom.com. Jason, if you're still here, would love to know what your thoughts are on, where you are at and what it would be to have you, if you have any questions about freelancing freedom. If you don't know if it's not for you or if you have any hesitations, I'm not trying to sell you on it right now because the course is not open right now. But I do want to know from the person who's here but not a part of the community yet, why not, essentially. Your question is, what was the turning point for you in life that you can point to that was a game changer for you? There's a few turning points, Jason. And it depends on the context in which the turning point is about. So I'll answer that question in a few parts. A turning point, an aha moment for me was, David says I was about to have that question too. Okay. This is a cool question. One of the first aha moments for me was I was working as a front-end web developer at a studio in a big city, doing cool stuff, building cool projects. Aaron's already a couple steps ahead of me. It's an extension of this. There was a number of aha moments within my 1 year of employment as a front-end web developer at a cool job that I would say more or less enjoyed. And on the surface was actually a really good, a good position to be in. Not highly paid or anything, but it was nice. And one of the few aha moments in that was, I actually was at a Christmas party, and Aaron talked about this here. He commented on it. And I was there with Laura, my wife, and my boss. It was November, and he said, "You need to, Brad, where's your mustache? Why don't you have a mustache?" And I was like, well, because my wife thinks I look like a creep with a mustache. And the opinion of my wife really matters, especially when it comes to my physical appearance. If she is off put by me, then that sucks. I would like for her not to see me as a creeper. So therefore, no mustache. And then he laughs and goes, well, you're to my wife, and as a joke, said, I spend more waking hours with your husband than you do. So technically I see his face a lot more, and I prefer him with a mustache. And it was a joke, and we laughed. But then I thought, it never left me. And when I kind of did the math, I went, oh, wow. I actually do spend most of my waking hours, especially during the week, with my boss. More time interacting, more face-to-face, more of my day, the chunk of my day was spent with my boss, and that kind of was off-putting. So that was an aha moment where it was kind of planting a seed versus an aha moment. It was I don't think I like that. And if I'm in year 1, what about year 5? What about year 10? That's a big problem. When I have kids, that's a big problem for me. So that was one. Another one was a text message where my wife and I were talking about going on a vacation. If we could imagine if we could just drop it all and just go to Hawaii and just live on the beach for a little bit. Or it was kind of like this nice dreamy, idea that we'd be like, let's just leave it all and live on a tropical island, a nice, sort of dreamy blue sky idea. It's something that inspires you to, especially because it was winter and we were depressed by the snow and we probably wanted to escape. But we felt like we had no escape. Even going on a vacation was a problem. You had to plan it in advance. It was expensive. We didn't really make a lot of money to go on a vacation, let alone. So it was just, I felt trapped. And I was finding myself dreaming about being free from working for somebody else so that I could determine how I spent my time. And as an extension of that, who I spent it with. And so that I could do things that I was unable to do being trapped in the current position of working for somebody. I felt like I was made for more. I'm more than this, right? Just coding websites for car companies and airlines, and sure, it's a cool project and we get to drink beer and make lattes and we play foosball, but is this what I'm made for? And then this is where the aha moment truly came. These are seeds. The aha moment was my wife again. We were in the kitchen one evening and she looked down. She was contemplating something and basically asked, what's going on? And she said, because she was at school at the time. She was studying to become a midwife. And she said, I don't want to do this. I don't want to be a midwife. I realize I can't do it. It's not for me. It's not my calling. And then she said, there's that story of the flight 1549, where the airplane made an emergency landing in the Hudson River in New York City. And they thought they were going to die, as you'd think, in the plane going down, a plane in an emergency situation, going to crash again, post 9/11, people in New York, planes going down, we're going into the river. This is scary. We're all going to die. They didn't, and they survived miraculously because of the amazing skill of Captain Sully and his first officer. And it wasn't meant for them. It wasn't their time. It wasn't their time to go. And so they call themselves the 1549ers. They are a group of people who all have this like bond that we survived. We're the survivors, we made it. And now they have a new lease on life, and they use that as a way to change their life. Some people quit their jobs. Some people followed what it is that their heart was calling them to do. Some people went directly to just do charity work and forgoed working for somebody and took a salary cut. Some people made big decisions to change their lives because of this situation. And then I thought, well, Laura said to me, if you knew that you were going to die soon, I don't know when, but say soon, is what you're doing with your life. And she was saying this to herself as much as she was saying it to me. And now I'm saying it to you. If you knew you were going to die soon, and then your time here on earth was done, is what you're doing with your life right now, personally, professionally, financially, health-wise, what you want to be doing, what you're called to be doing, what you were truly made to be doing. And she said, for me, that answer is no. Every day I go to that class, that university, I realize more and more that I'm not spending my time the way that I'm meant to be doing it. And so after that, shortly after, she finished the semester, and then she moved on. She became a photographer and then a mother, and has since followed her heart in many ways. And that for me was a changing point. That was that turning point that you asked about, Jason, where I said, I'm not doing that thing. I'm not doing that either. And probably eight or 9 months from that point, I quit my job and became a freelancer. And then from there, worked and hustled and pushed and experimented my way to where I am today. So there's my answer for that, Jason. I apologize if that wasn't valuable for anyone. It was kind of just me, if I helped Jason or someone kind of give some insight into my story and maybe help trigger something within your own self, then I feel like that was a good use of time. But I apologize if, if you're not interested. I am over time. Elias has helped me. Cool. Appreciate it. So unfortunately this time I can't give any behind the scenes because I should end the day here and get to go do my most important job, which is be a dad. But I will wrap here and just address a couple quick things and then let you guys go. David says, I feel like you, Brad. Even if I have a good job and a good boss, I feel like X hours a day I have to turn my brain off for somebody else. And for me, that's what I feel like I am here to do, is to help people reignite that fire in their heart, to find their purpose, to find that meaning, and to use the journey of starting your own business as the way to your own freedom, living your purpose and your gifts, doing good in the world and solving problems for people you care about so you could see change in the way that you can change, that only you can help, so that you can create a life of meaning, of passion, of purpose, so that you can have a vision and actually work your way toward it and feel really good about it. And for me, freelancing freedom is one of the ways, and the way that I can help you open your eyes to that, reignite the fire in your heart, create that vision and move toward it. Okay, folks, thank you so much for being here. Appreciate you asking all those questions, and this was fun. I hope it was valuable. I will provide for anyone who is interested in the group, in Freelancing Freedom, the mastermind, the group, some behind the scenes. I have some more progress to share with the new course/courses for 2019. Very excited about it. I've been hard at work at it, so I'm eager to share my direction, so I make sure I'm on the right path. And thank you, everybody. Really appreciate you. So have a good Thursday. Get to work. Go be with your families. Focus. Keep it simple. And let's get to work on reigniting that fire in your heart. Thank you. God bless. Catch you next time.